powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Now, live from inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, it's Football at 4.
And Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. It's brought to you by your Delaware Valley Acura dealers. With new inventory arriving daily, find your award-winning local Acura dealership. Today, check out Acura's lineup online at DelValAcuraDealers.com. Adam Caplan's here from the Inside the Birds podcast. And, of course, Inside the Birds pre- and post-game show. They will bring you the pre- and post this Sunday for the Eagles and Jags. Let's take a look back to the game on Sunday against the Washington Commanders. Couple takeaways from Adam here as the Eagles are one of only two undefeated teams left, Adam. So let's take a little look back to the game on Sunday and some of the key things that stood out to you in a dominating performance.
Yeah, Mike, good to be with you there. Yeah, no doubt. It was, quite frankly, one of the best first halves I've seen this team have in not only last year and this year, but quite frankly, and I'm going to say a couple of years, really maybe 2019, 2018 under Doug Peterson. They were both dominant. The Eagles actually had their highest pass attempt total under Nick Sirianni of 27 attempts. They were very aggressive, which is what we've wanted. We told people this is going to happen. We just didn't know when it was going to happen. It did. We actually talked about this in the spring during OTAs. This is what they wanted to do, and they're doing it because the quarterback could handle it. Hurts could not handle it last year, the high volume. That's why they wouldn't throw the ball much. But they're now a passing team. They're all three games, the pass attempts are in the 20s, which is actually over the league average. So I think we're starting to see how much they want to throw. And defensively, Mike, they were just magnificent. And there's no question they completely shut down Washington in just about every phase. Couple running plays they could have done better. But overall, I mean, I don't know what more you could want out of this team.
Yeah, I guess, one of the takeaways that some people had is they scored 24 points in the first half again and nothing in the second half. Do you leave concerned about the sporadic nature, I guess, of this offense through I guess the first week they were, they had pretty much more consistent. But the last 2 weeks, they only scored in the first half, nothing in the second half.
Yeah, they've actually only scored in one quarter in the second half out of all six. So they're up. They've been up so big it hasn't mattered. It'll matter though if the game is close because that's where the urgency comes in. It's Andy Reid's teams did this from time to time over the years, not always, but I remember when I would cover the team from more of a daily basis, be down there at NovaCare. I remember either talking to Andy or talking to some people there about, why are you guys you're getting these leads? You guys are falling flat. It's really hard to keep up the urgency. It's like you need somebody to push you. And that's the way I look at that. Again, it's fair. It's all fair because it's true, but there's so little to complain about or criticize with the team. I'm having actually after 3 weeks, I'm having problems doing it. It was easy last year. There's so much on the table, Mike. There's not much, and we're dropping our next show by the way tomorrow. We uncovered some stuff from our sources that, which is actually very good, which we won't be talking about here, but just to give you an idea, they did some different things on defense, some small wrinkles they added. But if you look at weaknesses, I would say after 3 games, run defense is very good. But this game, it doesn't show in the average per run, which is just a number. You actually have to go play by play. They had 3 or 4 run plays, which they have to be better, where their run fits weren't good. But offensive line, you could say that the offensive line had some problems blocking for the run. It's what's the numbers show. There's certainly the tape shows that from what we're told. But overall, the quarterback play is at a high level. Protection is ridiculously great. I don't know if there's a team like right now blocking better for the pass than they are. It's just simply incredible. And kudos to Jeff Stoughton, their line coach, who's now coaching with his third staff. Let's not forget, he was brought in 2013 or was it Chip's first year?
Yes, he came from Alabama with Chip.
Was it second year?
No, he came with from Alabama with Chip that first year.
Right, first year, yes. So he's amazing, and it's coaching matters, and the coaching has gotten not that he's on a separate island with their staff. He's like elite, but I think what's happened here, Mike, is the staff working with this group. They have a better feel for what they can do.
Yeah, Adam, I guess they're 3-0. You look around football, these games are close. They're one-score games. They come down to the wire. The Eagles are dominating. Are they as good as the record indicates, or are they playing some teams that just is the gap in talent between them and these teams they played that wide?
That's a great question because I don't know if you know this. Well over half the games are going over the Vegas under the Vegas total actually this year. Yep. The defenses are a little bit ahead of the offenses, which, by the way, first 2 to 3 weeks every year that's the case. The defenses are ahead of the offenses. But what's funny is I thought it'd be a high-scoring game. Now I had the Eagles. I've picked the Eagles to win and cover. So I'm 2-1 against the spread picking the Eagles. I'm 3-0 straight up. But this game I thought would go over because I knew the Eagles would score. Well, they did 24 points in the second quarter. Which is pretty darn amazing. But they didn't score in the second half, and Washington scored a meaningless 8 points, where Wentz brought the team back. He actually had a very good second half where he played poorly in the first half against Detroit. They actually had the ball down 8 with a chance to tie, but they didn't wind up winning, where that was not empty. This game was totally empty after the second half. Complete garbage time numbers. Played a bad game. Their offensive line was pitiful. It just everything like it goes to your question. Okay. Eagles are very much better than, I think we all know this. They're way better than Washington. How about this one? I talked to 2 people who were at the game and one who worked for the Eagles and said that one guy said 60%, one person said 70% Eagle fans versus compared to Washington fans in Washington Stadium. That's just absurd. Like, that can't happen. What an embarrassment for Washington they are. That is one of the biggest embarrassments I've ever heard for a team. Now, I know, depending on where you live, you can get there in 2 hours to Landover, Maryland. But, Mike, that's embarrassing.
Yeah. We were talking about that before he came on, the fact that the Eagles had a second road game. Detroit, they had some problems with the noise. John Gannon said yesterday, or today, I guess, that Washington had to go silent count in their own building.
Yeah, I think Nick Sirianni was the one who actually said that or wanted them to do that.
He said it last week that he wanted it to happen. And Gannon, I think, said today that it did happen. Yeah,
it's unbelievable. I know the Washington fans were once, in terms of turning out, were once one of the best in the National Football League. Big stadium, bad owner, bad team, and this is what you get. And obviously the owners reviled around the National Football League, and this is what it is. And the Eagles certainly took advantage of them. And, man, they got it going on here. There's no question about it.
Adam Caplan, Football at 4, Sports Bash. You look around, it's tough to find weaknesses, but what are areas, if they're practicing this week, where are some weaknesses they're trying to fill?
I was saying before, I didn't really I've gone through this. I've asked people who've graded the tape for us for Inside the Birds. We're going to talk about this tomorrow. That's actually going to be part of what we're talking about. It's just the younger players. Jordan Davis has got to be better. He definitely had some plays, which we're going to talk about on our show tomorrow. He plays too high. His technique's got to improve. It's just individual players playing better. But there aren't. See, that's the thing about this team. If you go through the roster of the players who played in this game, like the issue that they have is it's areas. Okay, the special teams coverage has to be better. The return game. It's actually the return game. The return game is really the area. We knew this in training camp. We talked about this Inside the Birds weeks ago, that, of course, Watkins is not comfortable returning kicks, and it's obvious. Punt returns. Covey, it's been okay. He's had 2 or 3 returns in 3 games that were good. But I thought, how about this one where they put Devontae Smith in there? That surprised me as a changeup. Now, you don't want to keep doing that because you're asking for trouble. You don't want this guy to get hurt doing something that he shouldn't be doing. Mm-hmm. But that decisions always tell you what teams think. You don't have to guess. They're telling you. They don't think Covey's good enough right now. It doesn't mean they're going to take him off of it. But the fact that they thought they had to put Smith in for a return, that means Covey's not good enough. And the return game has got to be better, Mike. When is the last time they had a good return game?
When Sproles was healthy. That's the last one I can think of, right?
Years ago.
Adam, I heard a comment from one Brandon Graham. He was asked if this team's roster is better than the Super Bowl roster. He said this.
Oh, I do. Oh, yeah. No question.
No question. He thinks this roster is better than the 2017. That was courtesy of the Zach Gelb show on CBS Sports Radio. Is Brandon Graham right? Does this team compare to the Super Bowl roster?
Well, it's funny you should ask, because on Thursday we were having a special guest for our Patreon subscribers of Inside the Birds. The only way you could listen to the interview, you must be a subscriber. We will not be putting out on YouTube for free. We're putting on our Patreon page. And we're going to have John DeFilippo, the former Eagles quarterbacks coach of the Super Bowl team, and I'm going to ask him that question. It's on my list. I sent John 10 questions. He responded to some stuff, which is interesting. I cannot wait for him to say it on this special pod that Moshe and I are going to have. And that is definitely one of the questions. And he responded. It's really interesting because he's familiar with Hurts. He actually interviewed him at the Combine when he worked for the Bears, and he has some good stuff on Hurts. And John went through a lot with that 16-17 team. You know, he was the heartbeat of the offense in terms of the quarterback position. And let's not forget, he was the one who put together the number one offense in terms of red zone in 2017. He ran the red zone offense. So he knows what he's looking at, and he's got some great stuff because he has watched the Eagles a lot this season. And it's just so funny. We didn't plan it this way, but of course he coached for the Jaguars as their OC. He worked for Doug, and Doug happens to be coming back this week.
Yeah, and Doug Peterson will be back. You wonder what kind of vibe there will be in the building. He's certainly a guy that was revered. He's not going to get booed. He's not a guy that people wanted out. So I would imagine there's going to be a pretty emotional feeling at the beginning of that game, Adam.
Yeah, you know what, Mike? This is my thinking on that. I would say just because people can be knuckleheads, I'm sure there'll be like 50 people who boo. The fans, by and large, love Doug. They understood what happened at the end. Like it unfortunately tends to end a lot with the Eagles. The coaches either have a problem with the general manager or the owner. This time there were a lot of issues. Obviously, the owner wanted him out because of the coaching staff. They had a disagreement. The owner had a different philosophy than Doug did, and that had to end. But yeah, he has great relationships, Doug, from what I'm told here. And I got to tell you, we're going to break this game down Friday. I'm going to give you one hint. This is their toughest opponent on paper based on roster.
I was going to say they have
a
stretch coming up: Jacksonville, Arizona, Dallas, and the bye. Before the bye, and then Pittsburgh, Houston, Washington, Indianapolis, Green Bay, the 27th. Which teams do you see will present some of the toughest challenges? I saw something yesterday. They are not an underdog in any of the remaining games already, according to Vegas.
Mike, how great was it and unbelievable that they were underdog in every single game of the playoffs in 2017? I mean, come on. And then this time, were they a dog against Detroit? I forget.
I don't believe so.
They were a favorite.
No, they were favored.
Yeah, they were favored. Yeah. All right. So Jaguars will be the toughest of the first four. Arizona's bad. They're not playing well. No DeAndre Hopkins. They're not. I gave them credit. They did a good job defensively, surprisingly, against the Rams, but overall they're not good. It'll be Jacksonville in Week 4 this week on Sunday, and then that Sunday night game in Week 6 at home against Dallas on October 16th, 8:20. That Sunday night game, that's going to be really, really difficult. Dallas has got a tremendous defense. Zeke Elliott has actually looked good. They're just not giving the ball a lot. And Cooper Rush is one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league. And that the kid Smith, their first rounder, the left tackle, shockingly playing well. Look, he's held up. And Jason Peters played last night, too.
All right, Adam Caplan's back on Friday. We will break down Eagles and Jaguars right here on Football at 4. Get the podcast Inside the Birds. And don't forget, they got that special podcast. When's that dropping with John DeFilippo?
Probably Thursday. Yeah, I'm thinking Thursday. Yeah, cannot wait. He was on with us once before. This one should be an hour when we're done it. And I cannot wait. And John loves to talk, so this will be fun.
Should be good. Check out all the Inside the Birds platforms for that. And, of course, the Inside the Birds pre- and post-game show on their YouTube channel on game days. Adam, appreciate it, bud.
Thank you.
All right, Adam Caplan here on the Sports Bash. Of course, Football at 4 each and every day. At 4 o'clock, we get the best insight on the Eagles in all of South Jersey on 97.3 ESPN.